Hey PS Weekly listeners, we're celebrating the end of the school year with a special live recording of the PS Weekly podcast. It's Thursday, June 11th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the Brooklyn Public Library Central Branch. This event will be co-hosted by Chalkbeat and The Bell, and you'll hear from student reporters like me about the issues we covered this season on PS Weekly. From competitive admissions to school mergers, curriculum debates, and so much more, we'll share fresh student perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. Young people aren't the future, they're the present. Listen to New York City teens take the mic. The RSVP link is in the show notes, and we hope to see you there.
I'm actually just trying to look at my grade right now and see, like, who's who, you know? I haven't looked at this in a minute.
Pictures still look the same.
I know. Let me find mine.
Everybody was so young. It was so cute.
A grado?
Oh
That's
my
in
god.
204. Does it look familiar?
Yeah.
He used to be in 204.
Oh, I was so lost when I saw him in Summer Scholars. I was like, what?
That man is like a ride or die.
Yeah, I guess.
Downfall. Look at
Lerner?
No, Rosenberg.
That's Rosenberg. Oh my god.
Yes, that's Rosenberg.
This is PS Weekly, the sound of the New York City school system.
I'm Rayleen Laloi, a junior at the Brooklyn Institute for Liberal Arts, or BILA.
I'm Zoe, a senior at Bard High School Early College Manhattan, and you just heard us looking at my school's yearbook from 2015. I'm speaking to Jasmine Coombs. When she went to Bard from 2011 to 2015, the school looked pretty different.
Thinking about race and identity back to like large gatherings. So like we had a town hall. I'm going to show you a page of it. We had a community day teach-in. So this was in response to the Trayvon Martin killing, because that happened, I think, at the beginning of my senior year. My class, it was very not black at all. But the students, my peers, who I like made friends with, who did not come from the same upbringings as me, still cared about mine, and I still cared about theirs. That made me have like a really diverse friend group at Bard. That made me learn about like different, ways of walking in New York City.
This week, I wanted to talk about a change that's happened at my school over the past 10 years. My school, Bard, is an early college high school, which means students do college coursework and most students graduate from the high school with an associate's degree. It's small, about 500 students total, and pretty competitive to get into. You have to sit for a special exam and also do an interview. And before I was a student, it looked pretty different demographically than it does now.
Different how?
It was a PWI, or primarily white institution. That started to shift a bit when the citywide diversity and admissions program began in 2015.
What's the diversity and admissions program?
Diversity and admissions is a citywide policy that started with just 7 schools, and now over 100 schools are a part of it. The program allowed for schools like Bard to set aside a certain percentage of their seats each year for students who are underrepresented. For example, this might include students who are English language learners or qualify for free or reduced lunch. The aim of the program is to create more socioeconomic and racial diversity at the school. At Bard, this means 50% of the seats in the admissions process are held for students who are eligible for free or reduced lunch.
So what did Bard look like back then, racially?
In the 2014 to 2015 school year, there was no majority, but the school was 45% white. The next largest population was Hispanic students, but they only made up 19%. And the school was about 17% Asian and 17% Black.
What do the demographics of the school look like now?
Now the demographics have shifted a little. The white population has decreased to 34%, and the Hispanic population increased to 24%. Asian students now make up 20%, while Black students make up 16%, and other, which makes up 6%. But the more interesting question to me is what is being done to support these students once they're admitted to the school? As a student from what Bard calls a diverse background, it can be hard to excel in this intense college prep environment without the right kind of support. I see students suffer from failing classes, transferring out, or battling serious imposter syndrome.
I can imagine. I'm curious what's being done to support these diversity efforts once the students are enrolled.
Well, this is where the Smart Scholars program comes in.
What's the Smart Scholars program?
The Smart Scholars program at Bard began in September 2010. It automatically enrolls students who come from what Bard calls, quote, diverse cultures and backgrounds, end quote, and focuses on, quote, increasing the access to our early college experience for qualified, deserving, and often underrepresented students from across New York City, end quote. I was enrolled in this program along with about a third of my grade and have found it to be a significant pillar of emotional support in my journey as a BARD student.
What do you think has made it so impactful?
In some ways, I think it is as much of a who as it is a what. Jasmine Coombs, who you just heard me talking about the yearbook with at the top of this episode, was a Smart Scholar student like myself back when she was a BARD student from 2011 to 2015. She's a Black woman like me who has seen the school through these changes, and she has made it her mission to make sure students like me feel supported and heard in an environment where they may not always feel like they belong. Jasmine is really committed to making these safe spaces at BARD, or BSEC as you'll hear us call it, in her office, room 204, which has become a lounge and meeting space for students in the Smart Scholars program. I wanted to speak to her about how BARD has changed since she was a student and what supporting students from diverse backgrounds really looks like on the day-to-day. So before you were a guidance counselor, you were once a student at BARD like me.
Mm-hmm. I started BSEC in September of 2011.
What was BARD like when you went?
Oh, man, it's a loaded question, girl. When I came into BSEC, I was, of course, faced with the club fair, as we all are, in ninth grade. That's like one of the first BSEC-specific events of the year. And I remember seeing the Black Student Alliance, and I remember I was part of the club called Glamour Girls, where we went to nursing homes and painted the ladies' nails as a club. That was cute. I saw the cheer team. I saw all these things that I wanted to join, and I felt welcome to join all of them. Don't get me wrong, it was definitely a welcoming community, but it was very apparent from the very first event of the school year that okay, the school is not majority me compared to where I came from. My middle school was basically all Black and Latino in Bushwick, back when Bushwick was not the place to be. But like I said, I felt welcomed. So I didn't feel like it was something that was going to make me feel uncomfortable or make me not want to go to the school. I definitely was I'm in the school, I feel good from day one.
Just to clarify, the diversity initiative or Smart Scholars started when for you?
Smart Scholars started in general at BSEC Manhattan in 2011. That's when the program...
And that was your, 10th grade?
That was my ninth grade year.
Yeah, okay.
But I didn't join it. So, it starts with the summer program.
Right.
I didn't do that. I don't think I was invited. Unclear. Can't really remember that far back. But I definitely joined unofficially in 10th grade. So that's a big thing, a big difference between then and now. You can't really do that.
You can't join.
You can't join. You have to be invited to the program.
So, talking along the lines of BARD's goals and the goal of that program, what is the goal of Smart Scholars?
So Smart Scholars is a state program that only connects with public schools in the state of New York that offer students a chance to earn college credits. Mm-hmm. So when the program began, BARD hopped on it because, one, they were already doing that, and two, they were thinking about ways to increase the access and the equitable access to the program for Black and brown students, low-income students, first-gen students, students with disabilities, anything of a demographic of students that is and has historically been underrepresented within higher education. So that's the main goal of Smart Scholars, is to make sure that students have access to earning college credits for free and are doing that ahead of applying for colleges, so basically in high school. The point of the program is to make sure that students who come from backgrounds that are underrepresented are just given a little extra support to make sure that they're getting it, to make sure that they're overcoming any of the obstacles that are in their way by chance or for whatever reason. So what that looks like is making sure that our incoming students, even before they become actually enrolled students, that we're going out to different areas of New York City and doing the recruitment and going to fairs and making sure that families know about our assessment and making sure that we are doing little things like translating documents into different languages and sending email blasts and just making sure that we are recruiting who we need to recruit first, so that students have a chance to just take the test in general, give themselves a chance there. And then once students are actually enrolled, they're placed in the program. And then what BSEC Manhattan does, i.e. me, is make sure that those students are comfortable and that they're seen and that they're heard. Because in terms of where I stand as both an alumna and also just someone who really believes in BARD and believes in what the early colleges do for students, you can't do anything in high school if you don't feel like you belong. We all have our moments where we're not earning a grade that we like, or we're not, following the trajectory that we're hoping for. And that's kind of where the program would step in and just make sure that the student has what they need to feel adequate enough to get that associate's degree.
Were there any forms of support you wish you had access to as a BARD student that didn't exist?
I think, so I definitely had a me when I was a student. His name is Jeff. Jeff was the second Smart Scholars director, but back then that's not what the title was. But he was definitely my safe space on campus. I need to speak about him more because he is another reason why I am the way I am with my current programming students, because he really showed care in a way that I hadn't experienced, I don't think really in any school that I had been in prior to BSEC, on a non-academic level. He saw things in me, like my mentorship skills and my ability to listen and my ability to like care for people in ways that I hadn't, like no one had ever highlighted for me before, in a capacity where he kind of some days made it worth coming to school. We had like a committee in the diversity initiative, and he elected me to be the organizational director because I had those skills of like putting things together and I like no one had ever told me that. I had no idea. So he was like one of the first people on campus that I felt really safe with, and I just kind of stuck with him as my like person, quote unquote. He actually worked in the same office in 204. He was my 204 person. But I wish that I had more people like him when I was in high school, and I wish that I had gotten connected to him earlier, because there were, like I said before, there were definitely moments in ninth grade where like you feel inadequate, or I felt inadequate. I felt like, you know, this is a hard school. I'm not used to this. I'm not used to the workload. There were definitely moments where I like got grades that I didn't love,
Right.
and I had to deal with that with my family.
True.
Who didn't like it.
Very true.
So I think that's like one of the biggest things. We put a lot of effort admissions-wise into making sure that the student body reflects New York City. I don't think that we do the same for the staff and the faculty. I think that there's definitely a lacking in diversity amongst the faculty, not even racial diversity. I think just diversity and experience of like cultural diversity. For example, yesterday I was handling a student who, you know, started crying with the teacher because the teacher was just like not really reading the room and like wanted to talk when the student didn't. And the guidance counselor called me actually and said, hey, I know you know the student. Can you come up and can you talk with us? Because I think that you'll make her feel more comfortable. I'm always going to say yes. So I came right up. And the student is a Black student. So the student basically expressed, you know, voicing that she wanted some space, and the teacher wasn't really respecting that. And she made a comment and she said, people always think that I'm mad or I'm mean or something. And in my mind, initially, I was like, I deal with that all the time. As a Black woman, people always think that I'm mad, or they always think that I have an attitude, and I'm just straight-faced. I'm just thinking, right? But the guidance counselor didn't really pick up on that. And it's like little things like that I know could be addressed if you just put more effort into making the staff more culturally aware of things that certain students go through versus other students.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, the guidance department is not diverse. At the end of the day, the barred faculty is not diverse. It's
not representative of New York City, the way that our student body
or
is.
even our students is, and we just started getting diverse. It's so funny that we're in the most diversity in the country, and the school system or our districts are the most segregated I've ever seen.
Yep. Yeah, the diversity in BSEC is definitely a recent increase.
Yeah.
But I want to say I can think of 10 to 15 students off the top of my head from my graduating class that were Black or Latino. The grades below me, I want to say it started getting better because they just made some shifts in admissions. But I want to say the most recent graduating class, 2025, was like the most diverse that we've ever had. I do think it is better more recently. When I was a student, definitely was not. Definitely was not. But it was just something that we just kind of dealt with. We stuck together. We made sure that we understood from like in our friend group, like this is what we're doing. We're going to go to class. We're going to study together in this free period. We're going to do this. We're going to do that, and not even make it a big deal. But definitely, as I graduated and like went into college and finished college, I would always think back to my BSEC time and think about the lack of diversity. And just kind of channel that into my now, into my why now, like why I do everything, making sure that my students are served and pursuing this program to the best of their ability, because it does make the difference. It does break that cycle for them.
PS Weekly will be back after a quick break.
What does it mean when someone says it's about the journey, not the destination? That's what the podcast Speaking in First Draft is all about. Creatives learning to trust the process and love our work in its many, many forms. Brought to you by the New York City-based nonprofit Girls Right Now, this intergenerational interview podcast is dedicated to exploring all kinds of media, from on the page to the stage to the screen. Tune in for Season 4 running from this March to July, released bi-weekly on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You'll hear unfiltered conversations about the messiest parts of the creative process, featuring both established and up-and-coming writers and artists. Listen to us on Substack or wherever you get your podcasts.
Also, adding on to that transitional period of like the diversity shifting, I did want to know, has there been any like challenges or kind of like growing pains about that program and kind of like what those are?
The inequities in public school education definitely don't start in high school. I work with a lot of 8th graders during the fall. Like I go to open houses, I go to fairs, I go and do offsite tests. And my biggest heartbreak is when I go and I say, BARD offers free college credits. Like, we do this, we do that. And as soon as I say assessment, they're turned off.
They get scared?
They're done. They're done with me.
Also, yeah.
I think it's a mixture. I don't think it's scared. I think
they just don't want to do it.
They don't want to do it. And I think that that's a response to the education that they've been receiving up until that point. Like, if you're a middle schooler who doesn't like school, there's no way you're going to like having to take a test to get it. Like, there's no way. Those two things are not going to connect. And it really does break my heart because there's nothing that I can do about that. I can't go back 4 years in the past and change the way that they're learning. I can't go back and change. Like maybe they had a really tough year in 5th grade or 6th grade.
Early.
It starts early. It doesn't start in high school. So I think that admissions processes across high schools in New York City, like we just deal with so much that's out of our control. And I work with a really amazing admissions director. Shout out to Zoe. We think very similarly about the ways that we can try and adjust the way that 8th graders think about admissions and just like working around that roadblock sometimes. And we come back to the same point. If
you can only do so much.
Can only do so much. So we just kind of shift and make sure that we're staying really connected with middle schools. And I think another thing that's very BSEC specific to me is accepting like a student who's super excited, who like really is excited about high school, excited about being a BSEC student, and then they have their first semester and they completely bomb it and it ruins them. And I think that's another heartbreak that I have because BSEC has its ways of moving really fast and leaving behind students who can't get it that fast. And that turns that bright-eyed student into someone who is almost lights are off inside. You know what I mean? And that's something that, like, that's the opposite of what we want to do. And I don't think that we do enough to kind of slow down and get those students back on track. That's another thing that I deal with in the Smart Scholars program.
I think a lot of people, especially in the Smart Scholars program, very zero in on themselves. And it's like, nobody else looks like they're struggling. Nobody else is asking for help. So I'm the failure because I have to do it.
We have students who come in who are top of their class in middle school. And then they get their first D and they're like, oh my God, I can't do this. And then no one really slows it down and like talks to them. It kind of falls through the cracks of having that conversation with them where it's like, okay, like this is not a school where it's going to come easy to everybody. Right. Like you really have to just like figure out what's going to work best for you, chalk that D up to I had a moment, and then just move forward from it. So yeah, it's a common experience. So I think more talking and more communicating about it and more open spaces to be like, yeah, this is going to happen. Like you're going to get a bad grade in BARD. It's going to be okay. I'm a big believer in what the early colleges can do. I'm a product of it. Like love it hands down. But I do think that there are so many different moving parts that it's so easy for little things like this that we're talking about right now to fall through the cracks.
Where do you hope to see the program go in the future?
It's very hard to function in a school like BSEC where everything is academic when you weren't raised in that kind of environment or household, right? So I just hope that the program continues to support students in their own mindsets towards literally embodying an early college mindset, right? Understanding that once you get into a school like BARD, one, you should be very proud because it's very hard to get into a BARD high school nowadays. Very accomplishing. But two, stick with that. Hold on to it. And I'm hoping that even extends outside of the Smart Scholars program. That is just true for any student coming into our schools, that once you're in, and you're accomplishing amazing things, and you should be very proud of yourself no matter what you're, ending up with.
I think the shift for me was just kind of like, you're as deserving as this as anybody else, and you're gonna need something that's natural, so you need to know to ask things when you need them. I did want to also ask, I see the Smart Scholars program as a safe space, and I see 204 as a safe space. So I was wondering how would you define a safe space and what that kind of looks like?
I think a safe space is a space where someone can be 100% their truest self without turning off anything or hiding anything about themselves, where they can like fully enter like they belong, like they're part of something. Because we have like the library, we have the 4th floor hallway, we have the CAF. None of those spaces operate in the way that 204 operates. The Smart Scholars program needs a space on campus because if we're trying to support students who are underserved in any way, they therefore need a space to feel comfortable going to and feel comfortable existing in when by any chance there is another space on campus where they don't feel comfortable. Like, that's the whole point of the program, is to make sure that we are creating space in a larger space where they might have a chance where they're not feeling 100%, but they can then go to and kind of bridge that for themselves.
And I think it's pretty selfless because 204 is technically your office.
It is.
So I think, and you did express to me how it could be a classroom.
It could, if I let it become one, it could definitely be.
And so I think it's pretty selfless that you let 204 be more of a student lounge.
Well, I know how important it is to have a space, again, as a past student, to go and have your person be there, or have a person who you really connect with, your trusted adult on campus, just from experience. So I would never, like, I know I say sometimes, like, it's too loud, or like, quiet down, because it is my office and I have to get work done. But I really do believe in offering a space specifically at BSIC Manhattan for my students, my Smart Scholar students, to come to and to really decompress. Because I know how stressful it is in those classes. I know how stressful it is to, like, be cold called on a day where you're just not feeling it, or to not come to class prepared, or to, like, have just finished a test where you thought that you were going to do well and then you finished and you were like, that didn't go too well. So I know how it feels to, like, need a space. I think that the safety, in my eyes, has a person connected to it. And I'm happy to hear that that's me for you. Like, it can't just be a space without someone kind of making it intentional, if that makes sense.
Do you think that the DOE has a duty or a role enforcing, like, these types of spaces, or, like...
Yeah, I think, you made a point earlier, being one of the most diverse cities, but then being the most, one of the most segregated in public school education. And I think students need to feel comfortable to go to school, period. Like, that just has to be. If someone isn't comfortable going to school for any reason, they're not going to go. That's human nature, right? We're going to shy away from things that we are not feeling welcome to. And I think one of the easiest ways to kind of level that playing field is to take the academics out of it and just make a safe space. Make a space for students who can go to that space with their group and feel comfortable. So I do think that the DOE should kind of put a little bit more focus on providing safe spaces that are not connected to academia. And, like, we don't really have this problem at BSIC Manhattan of, like, absenteeism or students just not showing up. But I definitely know that that's a problem in the New York City public school system. And I think that could be a nice, or maybe an effective way to get more kids in the door for people who are dealing with things behind the scenes that are not allowing them to kind of get themselves into school stores.
Yeah. And not to put anybody on blast, but, like, I don't think necessarily we have a problem with absenteeism, but I think we have a problem with if students don't like a class or they don't feel comfortable in a class, they won't go to that
I know, girl.
class.
I was a student once, too. I know exactly how that goes.
They will not go.
Yeah, I had my own experiences with that. I had a teacher year one. In that class, I was the only Black girl. I think we were reading Souls of Black Folk. And that was tough.
In year one.
I think it was year one. Maybe it was year two. It was definitely the college program. And I felt uncomfortable. And I didn't know how to voice it. And I stopped going for a certain period of time. I think it was, like, first period, and I would just, like, come to school late. Yeah, it was tough. So I definitely, like, I understand what that, like, feels like.
Yeah.
If someone is uncomfortable with something, our natural response is to shy away from it. And it's true in BSEC. That's definitely true. If you're not connecting with the person who's teaching you, if you're not connected with the topic, if you're not connected with any part of it, your natural response is going to be to shy away from it. Mm-hmm. And my response to that, if I'm working with a scholar who's dealing with that, is one, this is the same thing that you might experience in college, so let's just try and overcome this now. And then two, the teacher's job is to help you become more connected with it, or help you become more interested in it. And if you're not giving them a chance to teach you how to do that, or to, like, maybe give them feedback on how to do that, then they can't read your mind.
Well, I was going to ask, is there anything we haven't touched on that you wanted to add?
I'm so happy to just, like, to offer the safe space on campus, and that it is serving the community that I wanted to serve, because being a BSEC student is hard. Not impossible, but it definitely is hard. And I'm happy to just be someone on campus to kind of bridge that for a lot of my students.
Yeah. Well, I always sing your praises, Miss BSA leader,
Miss
Smart Scholars leader.
I try my best.
Miss Summer Scholars director.
I got to give it back to the community, you know?
Miss BSEC alum, Miss NYU graduate,
yes,
Miss bilingual speaker.
Yes.
And so thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. This is so fun.
That interview gave me a lot to think about. Issues like this about safe spaces in schools are complex, and there's multiple levels of barriers you have to break to get the progress you want.
Yeah, I agree. Safe spaces aren't just about the literal space itself. Room 204 is nothing without a Jasmine in it. For me, a safe space is somewhere where you can just be yourself. Like, you don't have to be a version of yourself or put on a mask. You can just be who you are and feel comfortable doing that, not feeling like you're different or that you're being someone that you're not, basically.
I would agree. After listening to this interview, I definitely co-sign the not having to pretend to be someone else. I think there's also an element of like you don't have to reduce yourself to be easier to take or palatable. This is especially coming from a student of color lens. Like, you don't have to reduce yourself to be palatable or your ideas or your beliefs to be easier to handle towards other students or just other people in general. And I also think that, yeah, you don't have to put on a mask, but you can also know that not just you don't have to put on a mask and you can be yourself, but know that you can be at least understood on some sort of level. There's like a collective kind of like bond there in a safe space. And just knowing that you're not just being seen, you're also being heard. This is our last episode of PS Weekly for the season. And as a fun little treat, we're bringing you an end of the school year Easter egg, produced by PS Weekly reporter Roberto Bailey.
What's your favorite memory from this past year?
My favorite moment from the school year was the first week of December when I found out that I was both a Quest Bridge finalist and a Posse finalist, because I never thought like I could achieve getting 2 national scholarships.
My favorite memory, I think there's like one game where like the game was so close, so like everyone in the stadium, because our team isn't that great, but everyone in the stadium was all standing up because they actually went to overtime and it was versus a good team. And I was seeing my friends hit some crazy shots.
My favorite memory from the school year, it's gonna sound kind of crazy, but like when it was snowing and the buses were like not coming, so we had to walk from like basically the Brooklyn Navy Yard all the way to Grand Army Plaza with my friends, because it was just nice. Like, I feel like we shared our pain and it was just a really good time.
What does summer in New York mean to you, and what memories, sounds, or sights kind of evoke that feeling for you?
To me, summer in New York, but I'm from Queens. You know, Queens got the culture. Queens get the money, as they say. It's like smelling all the different foods and like the fruit vendors and like, you know, the guy like doing like jerk chicken on the street, but then like you have empanadas on the next street. You know, like all the different like food smells like filling your nose.
Okay, so you know how they pop the caps off the fire hydrants and the water just gushing? The sound of like gushing water. I would also say like the ice cream truck, and mind you, you could hear it from a mile away.
Definitely free Wednesdays at the Bronx Zoo. Like, if you know, you know. Just the exhibits, they shine a lot brighter that day. The community there and everyone just coming out to enjoy the summer. It's a great experience.
I would say just hearing like the cars bumping their music as they go by. Like, I just love hearing all the different music that people play, you know, like the Caribbean music.
Vibes Cartel. You just know it's summer when Vibes Cartel starts playing.
That's what New York City summer is to me.
PS Weekly is a collaboration between The Bell and Chalkbeat, made possible by generous support from the Pinkerton Foundation.
Producers for this episode were me, Zoe George,
And me, Rayleen Laloi.
Our senior producer for this show is Maria Robin Somerville, and our technical director is Jake Loomis.
Our executive editors are Amy Zimmer and Taylor McGraw.
Additional production and reporting support was provided by Mira Gordon, Sabrina Duquesne, Zana Halili, Caitlin Melville, and our friends at Chalkbeat.
Music is from APM, and the jingle you heard at the beginning of the episode was created by the one and only Erica Huang.
Thanks so much for listening, and see you next time!